Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton and Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south. I want to say bienvenidos to all of our listeners in Latin America, also across the pond in London, England, as well as Paris, France. Of course, you good old boys in Canada. We love you in Africa, the Big C tribe. But there's no one we love more than the good old boys down south in the land of the free and the home of the brave on a beautiful July the 18th, 2019, Grando Deportes. Big C, how's it going for you good old boys down south?
Bienvenidos, Charlton, and we're talking the real football, not that soccer that you're playing across the pond. We're having the SEC Media Day going on down here. The ACC Media Day has kicked off, so football is in the air. And what's even the best, Charlton, 7 weeks from the day the NFL will kick off its 100th season.
Well, it's always kicking off in love and war. We really love football. We love everything. We've had soccer. We've had basketball. Baseball's going on. But Big C, there's nothing quite like football. It's like the deep fried chicken. We know it's not always good for you, but it sure does taste good. I want to say it's all fair in the sports universe. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. And when you go by and test drive yours, tell them Charlton and Big C sent you. I know we all talk about what's going on in sports, and sometimes we talk about what's going on in politics. You know, across the pond has been stealing a lot of our thunder when it comes to sports, Big C. We have the Open Championships, referred to as the Open or the British Open, and it's an annual golf tournament, and we always want to see great golf. But some of the great names haven't fared so well. But right now, the purse is $10,750,000. Big C, have you ever had a purse big enough to hold $10,750,000? Big C, your thoughts?
Well, let's be clear right off the back. I don't use purses, okay? I can't have purses big enough to carry. Yes, I have some sachets that we could use that.
Yeah.
But you think about the British Open going on across the pond, and it's not even in Britain, it's in Scotland.
Yeah.
Of all places. Roy McIlroy's native country, and he fell out of it in the first day going, +8.
Yeah, he fell out of it. And I know that he won that tournament up in Canada, and I think what may have jinxed him is he had on a jersey for the Toronto Raptors. But that good old boy is not from Canada, but you know how people try to pretend they're part of that country when somebody wins something. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, it's called bandwagon, Charlton, and everybody wants to jump on when there's a winner.
Yeah.
This is my side. I was here. So
Yeah.
Roy McIlroy's got to realize his game is on the links, not
Yeah.
on the court.
Yeah, he had to know that Drake was already holding that down. But when you think about the tournament, Tiger Woods, may not make the cut. Also, we talked about Phil Mickelson, how he went on some type of diet where it was just water, a fasting diet for the most part. And I think it was water and coffee. But he's also about to miss the cut. Now, I know we've seen sports from the last probably 10, 15 years. You see more people playing when they're 40 or more. If you go back 20 years ago, you hardly saw anyone playing at the age of 40. So when you have Phil and Tiger, I think maybe Mother Nature is catching up to those guys, Big C. But J.B. Holmes, he's -5. He's a leader, followed by Lowry. And then Noren is tied for third, along with Garcia and Simpson and a plethora of players. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, J.B. Holmes, is looking for his first major victory. 2 years ago, back in 2016, he finished third in the Masters and he finished third in the U.S. Open. So he has had some top 5 finishes, Charlton. Can he finish this tournament? That is the key. We know that the Open is a tough course.
Yep.
You have to play consistently. The whole thing about playing over there in Europe, you have to keep the ball in the fairways because the rough are tumultuous over there. And once you lose the ball, you might as well just walk away from it.
Yeah.
Because you'll break a glove trying to get it out of the rough.
trying to get it out of the rough. So I know no matter what, you know how good someone is where even when they lose or if they don't make the cut, they become the name. And whether it's Tiger or Phil, and I know Tiger, in my own opinion, Tiger changed his way of thinking and became more like a saint, supposedly. And he lost that Tiger's edge. And I know he came back and won the Masters, and I know he's done well. But when you think about his struggles, he opened at 78. Big C, it's hard for guys who can't even make a professional tours to be 78 on the course. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, we spoke about it a couple of days ago. Tiger is not willing to do the things that you need to do to win. Tiger doesn't play enough rounds of golf. He doesn't practice enough rounds of golf. I think everybody got caught in Tiger's regiment 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Tiger was this stealth person on the golf course. He had the physique that everyone longed for, and so many golfers carry that physique now. But Tiger was a guy who would go out and play, 30, 36 holes of golf.
Yep.
Go work out, go for a run. Those things he can no longer do, Charlton. With the multiple surgeries that Tiger's had on his knees, on his back, on his neck, he is not the physical specimen that he once was. And so as you get older, and any of us old athletes will attest to it, your mind lies to you all the time.
Yep.
Every day you wake up, your mind is lying to you.
It's just lying to you.
I know what you're saying, but you're telling me a lie. I can't do that any longer.
Yeah.
And that's what Tiger, I believe, has come to the reality of, is that his body is no longer able to compete at that high level consistently. But also, you got to understand, Tiger's a dad. When Tiger was young and dominating the golf course,
Yeah.
he didn't have to spend time with kids. He didn't have to pick up kids and take them to soccer practice,
Changing
dance
diapers.
practice, or whatever things that they were doing, Charlton. His life has transcended to being a family man. He's spending more time with his kids because he's accomplished everything that he could accomplish on the PGA circuit.
Yeah.
Yes, he won the Masters, and he took everybody back. Everybody said, oh, he's back.
Right.
No, he won a tournament. He's not back. He won a tournament. And if Tiger's lucky to win one or two tournaments over the next 3 or 4 years,
Yeah.
that's the best he can ever hope for with the rest of his career, Charlton.
Before we get in a little bit more about Tiger Woods and the great Phil Mickelson, it's almost like watching. We all get older and we look at video of what we did when we were younger, and you can see the difference. Even though, like you said, the mind's gonna lie to you. It's like that person that tells you one thing one day, the next day they say something different. Same person, different stories. I want to say there's a national hotline for people going through issues, and I really love bringing this hotline together because being in Los Angeles, I've met so many people that were just having issues physically. And just when you show outside in front of people, you notice that not everybody's going to be like in a studio where everybody's pretty and has all the makeup and their lighting is perfect. We do it outside where people go, it's just real, Big C, but it's a national hotline number is 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255, or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. And a lot of kids rather text now as opposed to pick up the phone and call, but that's important. So back to Tiger Woods. I still go back to 1997 when he won the green jacket, and his father, who's a military man, walked up to him and gave him a hug. And any kid who has a close relationship with your father, you really just want your father's approval, or then maybe you don't, but most people do. And I just think there were so many things driving him, and like you said, Big C, he's the father now. So I want to get that, if that makes any sense. When he was golfing, yeah.
As I look at Tiger, Charlton, he's not hungry any longer.
Yeah.
And that's what happens with athletes. You lose that hunger. We've seen some of the top athletes in the world over the past couple of weeks.
Yep.
Lose at Wimbledon, losing golf tournaments, Charlton. Once you get to a certain age and you go in and you look at the trophy shelf, it's like, I ain't got no damn room.
Yeah.
Why do I want to put something else up here?
Yeah.
So, what happens with fans is that they get caught in the lore and luster of what once was. Everybody has T-Bo now. Everybody has, DVR, whatever. They can record stuff.
Yeah.
They can go back and look and say, wow, back then. But like I said, Tiger's life has changed.
Yeah.
Tiger's become an older man. He's in his 40s. He's a dad. He spends time with his kids where he may have been out on the practice range a decade ago. He no longer does that, Charlton. And so the world out there, from the fanfare perspective, and even the media, is saying, what's wrong with Tiger? Take a check on yourself. Look at your life.
Yeah.
You're doing the same thing that you were doing 15 years ago.
That's true.
Become a dad, priority change.
Yeah.
You got a wife nagging you in the ear. Hey, get what you can.
Yeah.
But, all of these things happen. And
Yeah.
so Tiger's life outside of golf is what's more important to him now than what used to be.
Yeah, you think about the 148th Open Championship, and he's coming off a long layoff, playing just his fourth event since winning the Masters and back in April, and he looked out of sorts, and that's part of life. But he's still out there doing what he loves, and I still think just somehow, if he can just stay focused, that it may take another year or two, but I still see he's going to tie that 18th majors. I mean, it just looks like it can happen because he's going to be in some tournaments too.
I look at with Tiger. Tiger's not passionate about the game of golf anymore.
Yeah.
The fans are passionate about Tiger. Tiger's not passionate about the game of golf. As I said, it is not the mainstay in his life any longer.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody needs to come to grips with. It's just like when Jordan went to the Wizards.
Yeah.
Everybody's, Michael. Yeah, but Michael was just a basketball player on the Wizards.
Yeah.
He didn't scare anybody any longer. People were lining up saying, let me guard him next.
Right.
And that's the same thing on the golf course
Yeah.
with Tiger. All these young guys keep gunning for what Tiger created. That chip on their shoulder is
Yeah.
like, let me finish ahead of Tiger.
Now they got it, yeah.
I want to finish ahead of the greatest guy in the world that's ever played this game. So Tiger is a memory of what he used to be. He's a shadow of himself.
Yeah.
And that's what everybody has to come to grips with.
Give me your feeling on his great counterpart, Phil Mickelson. And they challenge each other. You know, they were better when they didn't like each other. And I think there's something to be said about everybody wants to be liked nowadays. And I was watching a program on Lawrence Taylor just last week, and he's been through his issues. He said he had more fun on the field than off the field because he wasn't able to cope. And so he had a lot of issues. But I've seen where a lot of the athletes, whether it was Jordan, whether it's LeBron James, even Mike Tyson. You notice how Mike Tyson, before he got incarcerated, he hated everybody, and hardly anyone was able to last more than a round or two with him. And then when he came out, he didn't have the same passion, and he was being knocked out, and he just didn't have it. And I think, like you say, a lot of athletes go through that. Your thoughts on Phil? I know when a boxer tries to shed a lot of weight, it's harder to function. It's easier to fight when you gain weight. It just has more stuff for the body to fight with. Same thing happened in the field. Phil's older than Tiger, but they seem like they're just guys that you would find out playing on the weekend now, as opposed to guys that are playing on the professional tour. Big C, your thoughts?
Tiger's is getting to where Phil has been for a long time. That family man, that dad.
Yeah.
Going to high school graduations, going to dances, doing those things. You prioritize your life. I mean, these guys have made all the money that they need playing professional golf.
Yeah.
But, we sit up as fans and sit there like, wow, I remember, 12 years ago when they battled, they were 1 and 2.
Right.
That was a decade ago. They were 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You got to realize all the guys that have come along.
Yeah.
And their bodies have broken down over time. Phil does arthritis commercials on television.
That's right.
So he's telling you he's not healthy. Tiger has had multiple surgeries. He's told the world he's not healthy.
Yeah.
And so that's what you look at with these guys. Their mind is lying to them all the time, saying, guys, you can be competitive.
Yeah.
When actuality, they should be on the senior circuit, Charlton, but they're not old enough to be there yet. So,
That's funny.
The thing about athletes, we all think of the lore of great athletes. We talked about a couple of weeks ago, could athletes play in certain eras?
Right.
The guys that played 50 years ago could not play now.
No.
The guys now can go back and play with those guys because everybody's bigger, faster, and stronger. When Tiger came onto the PGA Tour, he was an anomaly.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, wow, he's a physical specimen. Looked like he could be a football player.
Right.
That little punk is small. He couldn't play football. He couldn't bust a grip in a blue flag
Yeah.
sledgehammer.
Yeah, well, I love your...
Look at him compared to the rest of the golfers with pot bellies and everything
Yeah.
else out on the golf course. He looks great.
Yeah.
So, but you got to get out of the mindset to say, Tiger moves the needle. Yes, he does. He moves the needle from a fan's perspective.
Yeah.
But he doesn't move the needle when it comes to other golfers.
Yeah, and other athletes know when you're in the gym, when you're putting in time, when you're out on the links swinging around and trying to find your rhythm. So they know that. Brooks Koepka, but he's tied right now for third. He's 4 under. And I'm still putting my card with Brooks Koepka. The guy's in shape. He's young. He's motivated. He said something that kind of made some people upset. He doesn't really notice anything when he's on the golf course. He just notice he's golfing when he's golfing, and he doesn't care about trying to smile. He doesn't care like being like Tiger Woods is trying to be like conciliatory and giving everyone an interview. He was better when he didn't like anybody, and I think Brooks Koepka has learned that from Tiger. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, as a golfer, in your zone. When you're at work, you're at work. I don't think many CEOs, when they're cutting corporate deals, are walking out on the sidewalk wanting to shake everybody's hand.
Yeah.
They got $1 billion deal on
Yeah.
the table.
Yeah.
They're concentrating on their business. And that's what professional athletes do. You know, everybody wants a professional athlete to smile. When a professional athlete pushes the cameraman out of his face, oh, wow, you know, look at him. You know,
Right.
He's arrogant.
Right.
No, you're irritating him.
Yeah.
He's concentrating. I mean, you know, if you were watching the show on television like Jeopardy or something along those lines,
Yeah.
you know, you don't want somebody interrupting you while you're trying to figure out a puzzle.
Right.
So why do you want somebody interrupting you while you're at work? I mean,
Yep.
anybody. You're going to open the cockpit on a plane and tell the pilot, hey, you know, I really like what you're doing.
Yeah. I hope that, especially while they're flying. If they're on the tarmac, that's one thing, but not when they're flying, Big C. I do know that everybody is going to always root for the winner, and if you lose, they call it an upset. But just seeing this tournament and watching some of our stars from yesterday, we got to start finding new stars, it seems, Big C. I also want to jump on some SEC Media Day. I know a lot of things are happening this week. NFL camps are opening. SEC Media Day this week also. And coaches were signing memorabilia from universities that fans paid for. And the coaches get a percentage. You know, the coaches get a percentage of whatever they're signing. The players don't. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, you know, you think about a lot of these coaches, talking led by Nick Saban. They're selling pictures of themselves, plaques, you know, plates, all type of memorabilia, footballs with their likeness on there. But the coaches can make a profit off of their likeness.
Yeah.
And the players can't do that. They can make all this extra money. I mean, Nick makes millions.
Yeah.
But he's also making money, Charlton, signing autographs of his memorabilia. Think about it. You got to buy the memorabilia first.
Yeah.
Because you walk up there. You bought a hat, you bought a placard, you bought a football, you bought
Yeah.
you know, anything. You
Yeah.
know, a mirror with his name on it, or Alabama.
Yep.
You bought that for Nick to sign it.
Yeah.
Nick's getting a cut of it. He's not just doing this out of the goodness of his heart.
Yeah.
The NCAA has this rule that players can't make money out of their likeness.
Yeah.
Or anything of that nature. Otherwise, they're ineligible. There's no cap on what a coach can make. But if you give a player anything more than a hamburger, he's going to lose his scholarship.
You know, I thought that Nick was going to advocate for the players to get some money now, especially since Dabo Swinney and them good old boys, you know, got the best of Alabama. I thought he would have more of a heart for his players, but I guess I was a little bit naive. Also, when it comes to media, you look at Dabo Swinney and how he led Clemson to the national title, you know, 2 of the last 3 seasons. Clemson's now the new face of college football over Alabama. I don't know if it's going to stay that way because it's hard to let Nick Saban get a couple of days off and beat this guy because he's going out to get the best athletes out there. But you're feeling, and maybe this is, I think if anyone would know this is you, does Nick Saban and Dabo Swinney remind you of the days of Bo Schembechler at Michigan, Woody Hayes? Now, they weren't competing necessarily for national championships because the system was different. But they were always competing for Big Ten titles, and that meant they were some of the better teams in the country. Do these 2 guys remind you maybe of those 2 guys back then? Your thoughts?
Well, even in competing for the Big Ten title, you generally were in the running for the national championship to get to the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
So when you think about rivalries, these 2 coaches are not in the same conference. We're talking ACC versus SEC, and we talked about the SEC having 5 teams that had double-digit victories.
Yeah.
You know, seasons last year.
Yep.
So it's a very competitive conference. I think what Dabo Swinney has done is close the gap between he and Nick Saban. Nick Saban, when you look at Nick, who has won 7 national titles, Dabo has a few to go to catch Nick.
Yeah.
But, you know, he won one of those when he was at LSU, and he's won 6 at Alabama. And you think about that in any university, especially here in this modern era, to go out and win 6 national titles. Nick Saban has dominated the landscape of college football. You look at what the ACC is doing with Dabo Swinney.
Yeah.
2 of the last 3 national championships. But think about it. Those 2 teams have played together, Charlton.
Yeah.
In 3 of those championships. So Dabo has got Nick's number. Dabo is an Alabama alumnus.
Yeah.
You know, everybody was saying we want Dabo to come to Alabama if Nick ever leaves.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you think about those 2 great titans, what has happened to the rest of the Power 5 conferences, Charlton? You know, we talk about the ACC, we talk about the SEC. Where is the Big 12? Where are they going to be in this equation?
Don't forget the Pac-12. Don't forget the Pac-12, Big C. We're out here too, Big C. UCLA softball champions, okay?
But when we look at college football and the dominance of those two conferences, what does it take for those other three Power 5 conferences, Charlton, to be competitive? We know that the Big Ten was crying because Ohio State didn't make it into the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
We know the Big 12 got there with Oklahoma in back-to-back years, but we've seen sparseness coming out of the Pac-12. What does the Pac-12 have to do to catch up, even with those other two conferences, Charlton, that are not the ACC and the SEC?
I think what they're going to have to do in the Pac-12, every school have to play every team in the conference, and you don't get the chance to go out and schedule a lot of teams that you can just walk over. And then you'll have schools like Stanford, they will schedule a Notre Dame, home and on the road. Then they'll also schedule someone like a Northwestern that's still, a difficult team to beat back there in Evanston, Illinois. They'll play teams like that. And then you have UCLA. Well, UCLA plays Texas A&M quite often. USC plays Notre Dame every year, as well as their conference schedule. So it's all about scheduling and timing. But I do believe, Big C, when you look at the high school rankings, California at some times will have 4 of the top 10 high schools in the country. And California's won three of the last 5 national championships in high school. But a lot of players have been leaving for smaller cities. And being in Los Angeles, I can see why an 18-year-old kid would want to leave a city of about 20 million people and go to smaller places like down south. I don't know how big Tuscaloosa is, but I'm sure it's nowhere near the size of Los Angeles. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Tuscaloosa, you're talking a city of probably less than 1 million people when you look at it, as far as
metropolitan.
In the general population.
Yeah.
But, also you got to look at the competitiveness and what the TV rights are. All these young athletes want to be seen, Charlton.
Yeah.
And the Pac-12 doesn't do enough nationally to broadcast it. So
I agree.
You got a population on the West Coast.
Yeah.
But by the time majority of the Eastern Seaboard people are seeing a Pac-12 game, Charlton, it's starting at 7:30 on the West Coast.
Yeah.
And so it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, in the Eastern time zone.
Yeah.
I remember as a young man growing up and watching all of college football, it wasn't like it is now.
Yeah.
You got a West Coast game that came on at, 1 o'clock West Coast time.
That's right.
So you got it at 4 o'clock in the Eastern time zone, Charlton, so people got a chance to see it.
Yeah.
But because you have such huge broadcast networks now, Charlton, and teams have their own broadcast corporation for their conference,
Yep.
it is omitted that, Charlton, from being seen in prime time on the East Coast.
Yeah.
So the West Coast really needs to look at that, Charlton. They need to stop playing so many late-night games.
Yeah.
You can't have all those games kicking off at 7:30 at night. You got to find a way to have that 1 o'clock kickoff, Charlton, in the West so that you can get prime time in the East to get more exposure for those universities. And maybe you'll keep some of those kids on the West Coast.
Yeah, you got to see yourself on TV because a lot of times people want to know how many times will I be on television. And when you have the Pac-12 network has been a joke. Even getting credentials for Cal Berkeley, I've been working their game since 1996, and they wanted to give me like a colonoscopy to see if I was who I said I am, Big C. And these are people that I've known over the years, but I don't know. It's like they're anti-media at times. They don't want a lot of people coming around to give exposure to their games, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, the less is more, I guess, what they say.
Yeah.
In the stadium, the more people will want to see it.
Yeah.
And it's not working out because, I've watched a couple of West Coast games, Pac-12 games.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at these sparsely populated stadiums. I mean, where you got 35,000, 40,000 people.
Yeah.
Sometimes even less. I've seen games at Stanford look like it's 20,000, 25,000.
Yeah.
At Stanford, that stadium only seats 50.
Yeah.
I've seen games at Washington State that have not sold out. That's a 35,000 seat stadium.
Yeah.
I don't know the last time the LA Coliseum was sold out. I know the Rose Bowl, the last time it was sold out was for a Rose Bowl game, not for a UCLA game.
Yeah.
So when you think about the elitists, I mean, Arizona State even downsized their stadium. They got rid of 20,000 seats.
That's amazing.
Out of their stadium.
Yeah.
So what it's showing is the Pac-12 lacks interest, Charlton, from a fan perspective of what it used to be 40 years ago, to where it's gone to today.
Yeah, and I think they have to get a lot of games played earlier in the day. That would help. 12:30 kickoffs are a lot better than 7 o'clock at nighttime. I do want to say that sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. And when you want to find out what's going on in the world of the sports universe, you can follow Big C Sports. What we're going to do is take what's called the Big C pause, and we'll come back in just a moment, and we hope that you'll come back with us. All right, we are back on Big C Sports. We love what we do on the Big C Sports Network, and you can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on the #1 network in the United States of America for podcasting. That's iHeartRadio Podcast. You can also follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Alexa, which I really love. When you go home, say, Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast. You'll hear our sponsors. You'll hear Welcome to the Show. I'll introduce Big C. He'll do his thing. And we're also on Xfinity Comcast. There's more growth coming with that, talking about having some promos with Comcast Sports when you're watching college football all over the country, as well as NFL on Fox, CBS, ABC. So we're in the talks for that right now, hoping that comes true by this summer and fall. I want to just touch on this thing that's happening as we talked about NFL training camps. Everybody's pretty much in camp, Big C. The Denver Broncos, they're the first to open training camp yesterday. 2 weeks from today, they'll be playing the Atlanta Falcons in the Hall of Fame game in Canton, Ohio. Now, I wanna get your thoughts, because you talk about things that's happened at the same place. Kentucky Derby, same place. The Masters, same place. Indianapolis 500, always the same place. Are you still feeling that Canton is a place for the Hall of Fame game, or would they be better off served to go to the home of the one of the teams that are going to be in the game? Big C, your thoughts?
No, because that's what it is. It's the Hall of Fame game. And it's not about the football game.
Yeah.
That game is just something that's left over from the Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what that weekend is all about. The introduction of the players into the Hall of Fame. Somebody who has been enshrined and immortalized forever in pro football. You know, the Hall of Fame football game is just a showcase for rookies. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Veterans, you know, you might get a dozen veterans provided from both teams that play in this game.
Yeah.
They don't want to go out there because this is ironically the 5th preseason game that will be played by the Falcons and the Broncos. So no veteran is wanting to go out there and play 5 preseason games. They don't want to play 2.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So they might come in and play 3 part of the third game.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be out there playing games trying to make a roster. They know where they are.
Yeah.
But the game has to stay where it is. This is part of the Hall of Fame weekend. For those fans that have traveled to Kent to have an opportunity to go into the Hall of Fame, which is a marvelous facility, Charles.
Yeah.
If you haven't been there, it's one of those things you do on your bucket list, to walk through pro football history.
Yeah.
You're in all the great names and players that have been, you know, enshrined there, Charles.
Yeah.
But, you know, you keep the game where it is. It's always been there in Canton, and that's something you just don't change. You know, the one game I wish that the NFL would bring back, it ended in the 70s, where the Super Bowl champion would play the All-American team.
Yeah.
You'd have the All-American team, which basically was all the #1 draft picks in the NFL and some second-round draft picks. But they would play the Super Bowl champs. It used to be played in Soldier Field in Chicago.
Yeah.
It was a great game, Charlton, and it was much better than the Hall of Fame game. But the Hall of Fame game supplanted that game and replaced it, Charlton.
Well, I think football is great, and it's nice to have a single place. I just wonder if they would experiment with having one of the home teams open up. If you could imagine how great that would be. Going into the spotlight and all of the scrutiny will be Kyler Murray of the Cardinals, the #1 overall pick. You know he's going to be very much scrutinized, and they're going to find out if he's ready for the task. Not in the first 2 or 3 preseason games, because they'll probably run him a series or 2, and they'll keep him safe. They don't want to open up the whole textbook on him. When the preseason's over, then you're going to see Kyler Murray unleashed. But the first couple of preseason games, I don't think we're going to see much about him. But give me your feeling on how he's going to be under the pressure. Your thoughts?
Well, you know, he's going to be a lot of scrutiny on him, Charlton, you know, because he followed up Baker Mayfield as a Heisman Trophy winner and the #1 overall draft pick out of the University of Oklahoma.
Yeah.
There's going to be comparisons to the season that Baker Mayfield had last year in Cleveland once he finally got into the starting lineup. The same thing is going to be said about Kyler Murray. That's the benchmark, is what Baker Mayfield did last year. How close will Kyler Murray come to that? And every week throughout the media, that's what's going to be said and how he's going to be judged.
Let me keep you on the West Coast. When you welcome back Jimmy Garoppolo for the San Francisco 49ers, and obviously when he was at New England, people were saying, think about this. There were media people saying, get rid of Tom Brady, who went on to win another Super Bowl, had his 6th Infinity Stone, and they were calling for Garoppolo, who got hurt in the first part of the season, trying to run out of bounds. Brady just played stellar football the whole season. Now Garoppolo's back with the 49ers. I know he had some injuries. He's going to have to shake off some rust. But he's good for training camp. But when it comes to game time, he doesn't have a winning record, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo has something in common with Carson Wentz in Philadelphia. And the media has never recognized this. Jimmy Garoppolo has been the starting quarterback in 2 NFL seasons.
Yeah.
He has gotten hurt in the second game of both of those NFL seasons.
Yeah.
3 years ago in New England, last year in San Francisco.
Yeah.
He has a problem getting past the first 2 games of a season when he's the starter.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be in his mind psychologically. He has to be aware of that. I know the media has not noticed that, but he has to be aware of that. But Jimmy Garoppolo, the San Francisco 49ers have hung their hat on Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah.
We saw last year Mullins, the rookie free agent that they had an outstanding rookie year.
Yeah.
He's the backup. But you're not going to play him as well as he even played last year because of the money that you play in Jimmy Garoppolo. The scrutiny on Jimmy Garoppolo will not be as hard as the scrutiny on Kyler Murray.
Have you ever noticed in Garoppolo, I think 137 million, 135 million, somewhere in there, have you ever noticed so much praise for a quarterback who's not even 500, your thoughts?
Well, Charlie, it's getting privilege in the NFL. It's the upside. He's a franchise quarterback. Franchise quarterback in the NFL does not mean that he can win for you.
Yeah.
It just means he makes money. That's all it does.
Well, that's interesting. Now, if you think about what's happening, there's no bigger mystery on the West Coast. We'll stay on the West Coast than the one surrounding the LA Rams Pro Bowl running back Todd Gurley. Now, whether he had some arthritis in his knee, whether he had a slight tear, or there were people thinking maybe he had a knee, could it be hamstring, could it be leg cramps, could it be something? But we know after the Super Bowl was over and in the offseason they started revealing that he did have a hitch in his giddy-up, Big C. Give me your thoughts on what do you really expect out of Gurley? Your thoughts?
Well, I really don't expect to see Todd Gurley until the final preseason game, and he'll only probably play a quarter, if not just a little more than a quarter in that game, Charlton. I think they're going to take Todd Gurley and treat him with kid gloves this year. They know how valuable he is to the offense. And running backs, we know the wear and tear. They gave him that huge contract, Charlton. He got injured.
Yep.
And so they're going to be a little cautious about that. And I know during the offseason, Todd Gurley did everything that he could to get himself back in football shape.
Yeah.
He mentally is where he has to come back from, not physically right now.
Yeah, and I'd love to see him do well. I know people are saying Ezekiel Elliott and Gurley, whether it was Le'Veon Bell or Gordon down for the Chargers. Everybody is saying we don't want to pay players because of that, because when he got that record-breaking contract last year, he got injured. And it seems like a lot of times when quarterbacks get that kind of money, their season falls off, running backs too. When you think about the Browns, when they report to training camp July 24th, Big C, it will have been 6,044 days since the last playoff appearance by the Cleveland Browns, Big C. Your thoughts?
A long, long time.
In a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been a whole lot of things happening in Cleveland. The Browns made the playoffs, and I don't know if half the town's still alive.
Yeah.
Everybody's annoyed at the Browns and winning the division.
Oh, they have.
And I want everybody to pump their brakes when it comes to that.
Yeah.
What you saw last year was a team with the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah.
Sneaking up on some people. All right?
Yep.
They fired the coach. Now they got a coach that's never been a coach.
Yeah.
So how will Freddie Kitchens handle the pressure of Cleveland? If this team loses a couple consecutive games, how will the media handle Freddie Kitchens, saying he's in over his head? If Baker Mayfield loses a couple games back-to-back, or was the hype too much for him?
Yeah.
And stuff?
Yeah.
Will Odell Beckham be the distraction? Cleveland is a team right now that's no better than 500 on the season. And I'm talking about it, and we're still 7 weeks away from the start of the NFL season. But I don't see Cleveland being more than a 500 football team. Mike Tomlin is the creme de la creme of coaches in this division, Charlton. Mike Tomlin is going to regroup the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they're going to win that division. And you also got to worry about the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, and Tomlin's the first coach in Steeler history to reach 100 wins, Big C. I think he's been amazing. You think about the last 2 seasons, the Falcons and the Vikings, they faced some preseason questions whether they would be able to be the first team to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium. We've seen that happen over the last couple of years. They had good high expectations. I don't think that's going to happen for the Miami Dolphins this year. The Super Bowl is going to be down in Miami. Will there be any talk of Dolphins making that 1972 run again, Big C? Your thoughts?
You know, they might have the Dolphins cheerleaders at the Super Bowl.
Yeah. That's funny. What a day when you think about how great those players felt back in the 72 season. Don Shula's team, Bob Greasy was quarterback. I remember Mercury Morris was a running back. They had Larry Sonka, they had Jim Kick. They had so many great players that could probably not even make a lineup today, Big C. But they're the only undefeated team in NFL history. Your thoughts?
Charlton, I don't think they have anybody on that Dolphins team that was undefeated that could play in the NFL today. Maybe Paul Warfield at wide receiver. I think he might be able to play.
Yeah.
They had an undersized tight end and Jim Manders. Larry Zonka's an average-sized running back now, but he didn't have speed. Mercury Morris, I don't know if he had the power. I think about the defense with Manny Fernandez, a 5'10 defensive tackle, Nick Bonacani, a 5'10 middle linebacker. They just didn't have the speed and ability. You got 2 white safeties sitting in the secondary. They're not going to cover anybody. Let's just be honest about that. They're not going to cover anybody.
Yeah.
But, if that team had not lost Bob Greasy early in the season, they would not have went undefeated. That's what a lot of people don't realize about the 72 Dolphins.
Well,
Moore went 9-0
yeah.
as the backup quarterback in the regular season with the Miami Dolphins. And ironically, he won the 2 playoff games also prior to the Super Bowl, Charlton.
Yeah.
Bob Greasy was installed back in the lineup for the Super Bowl and was one of their lowest scoring outputs of the season. So if Bob Greasy had stayed healthy on the 72 Dolphins, they may not have been undefeated overall.
That's a very good observation. I love the way you go back in history, Big C. Well, as we look in the present, the New York Giants, the Mara family, they're on track to keep Eli Manning, bring him out again as the unquestioned starting quarterback for the 16th consecutive year. You know how we talked about Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson? They both have fallen off some. Even though Tiger has that green jacket, that 5th green jacket, he's not the same, not even as hungry. Phil's not as hungry either because he's on that milkshake diet or that water and coffee diet, Big C. But when you think about Manning, they've already told everybody, we're going to get the best running back that we can find. They did that last year, the kid out of Penn State. And you would think that if they had a quarterback that could throw downfield accurately, I know he threw for 4,000 yards, but that was a lot of run after catch. That wasn't like throwing 50-yard completions, Big C. Your thoughts on Manning?
Well, when I look at the Giants organization, they drafted a quarterback that they knew would not pressure Eli Manning.
Yeah.
But what the organization is also looking at is that he's the most senior and experienced quarterback in the NFC East, and they're hoping that means something.
Yeah.
They're looking at a team in Philadelphia that has gone to a Super Bowl and deep into the playoffs last year. You're looking at a team in the Cowboys who made the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. You're looking at an up-and-coming Washington Redskins team, but the team, the management with the Giants is feeling that because of Eli's experience, that he can compete with those young quarterbacks on the other teams. Charlton, he has more years combined than the other 3 starting quarterbacks in the conference.
Yeah.
But the rest of the team, Charlton, has suffered under Eli. They just don't have the ability to get down the field deep. People play a lot tighter defense against him. At some point, you got to be willing to cut ties with somebody. I mean, if he was an African American, he'd been gone a long time ago.
Yeah, that's
Eli
true.
Manning is living on his legacy of his name and those 2 Super Bowl titles from a decade ago.
Yeah,
like we talked about Tiger Woods. Yeah, you won the Masters 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But you only won 1 in the last decade. They're hoping that lightning will strike for Eli Manning, and the rest of the NFL will lay down and let him walk on top of them.
Well, they're hoping that'll do that like Jesus, Big C. Saquon Barkley, he's the guy that needs to touch at least 20 touches. I would think 20 touches per game gets him going, because after he has about 15 catches, he's starting to at least approach 100 yards, if not eclipses. So I really want to see them hand the ball off more to him. Let me go to the prodigal quarterback of the NFL. And I know people say it's Tom Brady, but I still look at Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers is spoken about in the same vein as a Tom Brady. He's in the same vein as maybe a Drew Brees, but he has one Super Bowl championship in his career. He has a new head coach in Matt LaFleur. If he does not make the playoffs this year, is he the quarterback that everybody still wants in the last 2 minutes of the game because they say that he's still the best quarterback out there? You can't prove it by the lack of Super Bowl trophies, but he's still going to get that credibility. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, we've heard that cry about Aaron Rodgers for the last decade. He's the guy you want with the ball in the last 2 minutes of the game. Even though Tom Brady is the one who keeps winning.
He's winning, yeah.
He's winning Super Bowls in the last 2 minutes of the game. Everybody keeps crying for Aaron Rodgers. I guess that discount double check.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, here it is. He's already been in turmoil with his new coach, Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
The Packers are in a rebuilding. And I never understood why people say, well, I want him with the ball in the last 2 minutes. No, I want the guy with the ball for the first 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Too much stress coming from behind. Yeah, that's true. It's funny how people want you to be behind. If you're the best quarterback, you should probably be ahead if they blame it on the quarterback. If they lose when they're behind, he didn't get protection, his receivers let him down. But if he wins, hey, what a great quarterback. Carson Wentz, he's been paid a franchise quarterback salary, yet he's not survived the last 2 seasons. And when you think about he and Garoppolo, Kirk Cousins, everybody has these injuries they have to overcome. And Derek Carr overcame an injury a couple of years ago when they were in the playoffs. He had a broken bone in his leg. Is Carson Wentz, if he lives up to the hype like Rocky from Philadelphia, will he win an MVP this season if he gets the Philadelphia Eagles back to the playoffs, let alone Super Bowl? Your thoughts?
Well, they're paying him MVP money, Charlton. Everybody has talked about he's done all the heavy lifting in Philadelphia for the past couple of years. Nick Foles just happened to come in and get the light work and get the win.
Yeah.
But, now there's no Nick Foles behind it, Charlton. You got a kid named Sudfeld behind it.
Yeah.
How will Carson Wentz handle that, Charlton? And how will the Eagles protect him from injury?
Yeah.
For the last 4 years of his career, he has been injured. They have to find a way to keep him upright, Charlton. And if he goes down, is the Eagles season over this year?
Well, we know, we've seen it before. He was hurt in college at North Dakota State for the Bison, and then hurt in the NFL also. I wish everybody well. But it's almost like a car. Once it gets dinged up and banged up, they can repair it, but it's never like it was when it came off the showroom floor. Speaking of coming off the showroom floor, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they enjoy a drama-free summer, perhaps. Ben Roethlisberger expects the team to return to normal. But I recall, Big C, this player was saying that he thought maybe he should retire. I don't know if I have it anymore. They've heard the same talk about Tiger Woods when he had had all the physical ailments and then not practicing and not playing in tournaments. Big Ben was saying, I'm done. But the money kept coming in, and it was too good. He couldn't find a regular job that paid that much money, so he stayed. But I think he still threw at least 8 interceptions in 2 playoff games. But this is still their leader, Big C. Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, the thing about the Pittsburgh Steelers this year is that the media won't be able to pick on Mike Tomlin.
Yeah.
Because of Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
This has been Roethlisberger. It's been Roethlisberger in Pittsburgh just like it's Eli Manning in New York. The buck will stop there. Any problems on the offense in Pittsburgh, it comes down to Ben Roethlisberger. They can't go out and say, well, Le'Veon Bell helped out. Antonio Brown is being a nuisance in the media, in the locker room. No, this is Ben Roethlisberger. This is what he's wanted his entire career. Now all the showcase lights are on him, Charlton.
Yeah, it is on him. And I want to get one more thought, too, because I know with all the things that we're doing with NFL football and how different teams have moved players around, do you have any... Again, Gruden, I believe, is the only NFL coach with a $100 million contract. And he has more fingers on his hand than he has wins for the Raiders, Big C. Will he be able to use both hands when they say, Gruden, we gave you $100 million. How many wins do you get? Last year he could hold up one hand. Will this be the year Gruden can hold up 2 hands, maybe one hand and a finger from the other hand? Your thoughts, Big C?
Well, they spent a lot of money in free agency, Charlton. They spent a lot of money on middle-of-the-road players.
Yeah.
Their schedule will be friendly to them, Charlton, when you think about the schedule will not be as tough.
Yeah.
But just within their conference, they can go, over in their conference. You got to think about the quarterbacks that are in the AFC West. You got Patrick Mahomes, the MVP.
Yeah.
You got Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, who were a dominant team during the regular season.
Yeah.
The Broncos upgraded with Joe Flacco. I know that Derek Carr is in Oakland, but who the hell is he going to throw to?
Yeah.
But, they got to get used to each other.
Yeah.
The top two teams in the division, I don't see the Raiders with the ability to beat them. That's the Chiefs and the Chargers.
Yeah.
If they get lucky and split with the Broncos, Charlton, that's only one win within the conference.
Remember Amari Cooper when he was at Oakland, and they were saying, well, maybe he's just not cut out. Maybe he should go back to Alabama because that's where he dominated. And then that good boy got traded down to Dallas, and he's looked like an all-pro player now. So how is Brown going to come in and perform better than a guy who looks like an all-pro when he went to Dallas, but with Oakland, he just looked like maybe he wouldn't even make the squad? Big, see your thoughts.
Will Brown be disenchanted with Carr when he can't get him the ball? That's what you got to look at.
Yeah.
You got to look at defenses that are going to roll up to Brown. We haven't seen Carr be able to get the ball down the field consistently to his wideouts since he's been in Oakland. I mean, he had Amari Cooper.
Yeah.
Amari Cooper had an outstanding rookie year, but he fell off. He was still running the same routes. The quarterback just couldn't get him the ball.
Yeah, he hasn't been. Yeah.
How will Oakland revamp their offensive line? And we know right now they don't even have a running back. They still haven't signed Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, that's some issues coming with Oakland because Carr, since he got that big contract, his contract was big, but his performance went down. I know he had the broken bone in his leg, but it's still, he got the money. So when you think about coaches and players and all the officials, we're going to need some time in the preseason to sort out all the new rule changes and align the reviews on pass interference. And I think it's going to slow the game down, and we don't need to slow the game down in NFL football. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, in NFL, I mean, players need breaks throughout the game, Jonathan. I don't think it'll slow it down that much. The NFL, even with the rule changes, have to put a time limit on how long you can review a play in any challenge.
Yeah.
The NFL needs to implement a 90-second rule on all challenges. It has to be done in 90 seconds. If you haven't had a conclusion in 90 seconds, play stand. That's what it should be. I mean, we get it on the first replay as fans at home.
Right.
So, I mean, it needs to be 90. I really would like to see it at 60. Once you go under the hood, the clock starts ticking.
Yep.
You got to make your decision up. I mean, these are professionals with HD television, 4K, 8K television now under the hood.
Yeah.
You're watching the sweat come out of the pore. You
Yeah.
can't see the ball is on the field.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be officiating any longer.
I want to ask you an embarrassing question, and now I'm sure this never happened to you, so you don't have to say it's you, but if you've heard of it.
It didn't happen.
I can't confirm or deny. But I had some young people asking, just watching some programs on NFL Network, seeing some of the old games from last year, and et cetera, in college football. Some young kids said, why do these guys sweat so much in the crotch? Most people, when they sweat, it's under the arms or on the head. Is it crotch? Because a lot of guys are not going to take the time to go use the bathroom and do it. Number one, Big C, your thoughts.
I had a teammate years ago that it was an honor that he was going to urinate while he was on the field.
Yeah.
It's nothing uncommon. You got all this equipment on. You don't have time to run down the tunnel, Charlton.
Yeah.
I mean, you're sweating. You can also take the water bottle
and dump it on you.
So it doesn't be so obvious.
Yeah.
Athletes, professional football players will relieve themselves in the
That's nasty, but I understand. It's nasty, but I understand, Big C. So it's all great in football's coming back. It's amazing how football is official that we're within 50 days of opening kickoff for the 2019 NFL season. We just come off the Major League Baseball All-Star game, and people are so jazzed about football, whether it's college or NFL football. I'm excited about that. Give me your thoughts on coming up on this season. Are you expecting more? The Super Bowl was a dud last year. It's going to be hard to repeat a bad Super Bowl after last year's collapse. Your thoughts?
Well, that Super Bowl last year was an anomaly, Jonathan. You had these two high-powered offenses that when they got to the game, they just struggled.
Yeah.
But people didn't realize how good the defenses were. New England has always had a defense that shut down every offense they played.
Yeah.
Bill Belichick figures things out.
Yeah.
The NFL, had a Super Bowl that didn't live up to its law. But this year in Miami, Charlton, when they get down there, and Fort Lauderdale, actually, where that stadium is, Hard Rock Stadium,
Yeah.
I expect to see an explosive Super Bowl. If the rain stays away, Charlton, expect to see a high-scoring affair.
Yeah, I look forward to being there. It's a great environment when they have the Super Bowl in Miami. Like you said, they play it in Fort Lauderdale, but all the parties happen in Miami, Big Z, and it's a great place to be. I want to close out today with, I think so much about Curt Flood, and whenever people talk about signing contracts, and no matter how much money someone has in their own bank account, a lot of athletes can really look at why they have that money. It's because of Curt Flood and being able to go out and challenge and sue the league for opportunities. And I want to get your feeling on, hopefully, that more people will pay more attention to that, because it really needs to give them homage. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Curt Floyd was a pioneer when it came to free agency, Charlton. He sacrificed his career for the betterment of other professional athletes. And this was a minority man that did that. We haven't seen people of the other races go out and make such a sacrificial situation in their career for others to benefit from it.
Yeah.
Curt Floyd was a true humanitarian, true American when you think about what he did, because it's the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one. And that was Curt Floyd. When you look at that mantra, that's what he did for professional sports.
Yeah, and I love just this talk of standing up for people. And oftentimes when black men do it, they got to sue people and they get chastised by mainstream. It's just from Tommy Smith, Muhammad Ali, Colin Kaepernick. It's always been that way. Megan Rapinoe, I appreciate her consciousness, her social consciousness as a Caucasian woman in the United States, because for the most part, there have been a lot of people who helped during civil rights movements. But also, there are a lot of people who will put their hand on the shoulder for the African-American athletes, but they won't say the same things, like we want liberty and justice for all. I never knew that people would be afraid to say that. But one of the guys I love the most, CNN, Van Jones, he's going to have Megan Rapinoe, I believe, on Saturday. And it's to talk about social justice, and they sued their own federation for pay equality. And I said, wait a minute. Black men have been doing this for years, but they always got ostracized. She's gotten a parade, and they're using her as a figure as to how you should make equality happen, when this been happening for 50 years, but they were just ostracized. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, if they're going to have Megan Rapinoe on, they should have Colin Kaepernick sitting in the chair beside her, because they've both taken the same stance against professional sports and against society, Tom.
Yeah.
But one man has been banned from playing the sport that he loved and that he had become an expert in, while the other individual is being celebrated as an American icon.
Yeah, and I love the fact that if we bring it all together, there was a song, I think, by Stevie Wonder called Ebony and Ivory. I'm not being flippant. They should really do that, because oftentimes when it has a black face to it, mainstream just turns the other cheek. I mean, they just do. We know that throughout history. I hope that our society can come together by being honest. You can Google it. Major League Baseball, statistical leaders, home run leaders. You look at Mike Trout for the Angels, right up at 30. National League home run, Cody Bellinger with the Dodgers. Christian Yelich. You think about with the Brewers. And then in the AL, well, Yelich has 34. In the American League, you have Mike Trout with the Angels. I mean, he's hitting the ball well. National League, Josh Bell with the Pirates. And then you look at the AL with Lance Lynn, Texas. There's a lot of good things going on in baseball. RBIs, though, Trout 75 is impressive, but Josh Bell 84, that's impressive even more. So, Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Jonathan, we know how everybody's talked about the ball leaving the yard.
Yeah.
That the ball is juiced this year. We've seen the record number of home runs. We've seen players delivering on the mound. You've talked a lot about Mike Trout. His numbers stand for themselves as far as his productivity versus the monies that he's making.
Yeah.
But when we look around Major League Baseball is healthy. All of the players that you're speaking about are the young guns in Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
They're the guys who are keeping the game exciting and moving the game along into the next era.
And when you think about wins in the American League, you have Lance Lynn with the Texas. He's 12 wins. National League, Strasburg and Brandon Woodruff with the Brewers, looking at 11. So baseball's good. Still want to see that net put up from foul line to foul line. I know a lot of teams will do it next year, but it'd be nice to have it done at least coming up on the end of the season and in the playoffs. I want to just say a few more things about Big C Sports. I love what we do with Big C Sports Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on iHeartRadio Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on Apple Podcasts. You can follow Big C Sports on Google Podcasts. You can find us on Spreaker. You can find Big C Sports on YouTube. We're even on television, Xfinity, Comcast. You can find Big C Sports there. What I really love is the app by Alexa. When you say, Alexa, play Big C Sports Podcast, you'll hear our sponsors. You'll hear Welcome to the Show. I'll introduce Big C, and he'll do his thing. So I really thank our sponsors for all of their support. I want to just close out tonight's podcast, Big C, talking about the Major League Baseball schedule. You have Tampa Bay at New York Yankees, Tampa Bay, and then that's a series that I'm looking at the Yankees to get that done. It's already underway. You look at Detroit, they're at Cleveland, St. Louis, at Cincinnati, Washington, at Atlanta. Atlanta, this team was young last year. They were knocking on the door. This might be a year that they challenge in that National League for a World Series. Big C, your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, they're right on the heels of the Los Angeles Dodgers. It's about staying healthy. They have a very young lineup that has not really been tested thus far this year. They're leading the National League East. They're 21 games above 500, and they're poised to make a run come late September.
Yeah, you think about two small market teams, the Oakland A's at the Minnesota Twins. You have Houston at the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. And I would love to see, because LA is a beautiful place. I know Anaheim is more for tourism and Disneyland. That's the biggest attraction, more so than going to see a baseball game. And also the Mighty Ducks. If you're in LA, there's so much to do in LA, and the sports teams are just going to benefit because there's such a large population there. But I'd love to see more people turn up to support Anaheim. I mean, the Angels of Anaheim, they really call the LA Angels, but they're in Anaheim. Milwaukee at Arizona, two more small market teams. You have the New York Mets at the San Francisco Giants. It's amazing, the same colors. I know the Giants came from the East Coast, and then the Mets were created. But this is you see Madison Bumgarner. There was so much talk that he still is on the moving scale. They may move him out of there, Big C. I don't know if it's going to happen, but Syndergaard is also pitching for the Mets. Is Madison Bumgarner, would you put money on him being with the Giants when the season is over, Big C? Your thoughts?
Well, Charlton, it's time for the Giants to move off the high-priced players. They're going to be in a rebuilding mode. This is Bruce Bochy's final year.
Yeah.
So keeping all those guys who are part of that World Series lore around Charlton is not going to benefit moving on with this franchise. They need to have an infusion of young players. They got to work through their farm system, Charlton, and develop those.
Yeah, they really do. It's great. It's been a great run with the Giants, but they've changed stadium names. Could you imagine? Now, I may be ignorant when I say this, but Fenway Park in Boston is Fenway Park. Wrigley Field in Chicago is Wrigley Field. Well, the Giants have won more World Series in the last 12 years than the Cubs and the Red Sox, but they have Oracle Park now as opposed to AT&T Impact Bell. So, but this Silicon Valley, so money talks too. Some matchup games, you have San Diego at Miami, Los Angeles Dodgers at Philadelphia. And boy, what's going on with Jensen? He came in and gave up a 2-run lead, and they lost as a closer. We talked about Clayton Kershaw being maybe the Achilles heel, but if they can't count on Jensen as their dominant closer, Big C, would the Dodgers look at moving him out when the playoffs get closer? Thoughts?
Well, the bullpen has been the Achilles heel of all the major league teams this year, Charlton, that have struggled. Dodgers, we talked about them staying healthy. We talked about how dominant their starting pitching has been.
Yeah.
But you got to keep the bullpen guys consistently working. Sometimes, if you pitch your starters too long and you don't get enough work out of your bullpen, Charlton, this one will happen in critical hot games during the summer. Yeah,
that can't happen, Big C. Toronto is at Boston, and then the Chicago White Sox at the Kansas City Royals. And so that's what we have on the schedule for baseball today. I love doing Big C Sports. As we always tell people, get involved in something. That sports is a billion-dollar industry, and boys and girls sports is the foundation to this billion-dollar industry. When you want to find out more about what's going on in sports and news, follow Big C Sports. Big C, back in the day, there was a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man, and he would always tell Ali, with all you got to use, how can you lose? Rumble, young man, rumble. Big C, what are you looking forward to in the sports universe?
Well, Charlton, what I'm looking forward to in the sports universe is a little sports in the kitchen. I got some cupcakes, I got some whipped cream, and I want to see how they can battle it out and see who wins right now.
Well, I know I've been, it's called a reticular activating system. When you see something or you hear it, you tend to think about it all the time. And everywhere I see butter. I'm even dreaming about butter, Big C, because you say you guys down south cook everything in butter. But you can have butter, too, every Monday through Friday at 5 and 6 p.m. worldwide when you follow Big C Sports on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to Big C and them good old boys down south, as we always tell you. That's never, ever an excuse for domestic violence. If you know any man or woman going through that garbage, please pick up the phone and call 911, because no man or woman should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.